guys, what's up? Welcome back to another Planty video. My name is Shannon and this is Planted 386. If it's your first time, thank you so much for clicking. I understand that there is a plethora of Planty content out on the internet for you to enjoy, so I appreciate it anytime someone clicks, takes a chance, and decides to spend a little of their time with me. And if you are returning, thank you so much for being here week after week, hanging out with me in this little Planty corner. I appreciate you so much. I always look forward to commenting and engaging with you in the comments section. Thank you for your likes, subscribes, and shares. Today's video, I have been kind of thinking about just different things that we could talk about, and one of the ideas I came up with is just simply doing a then and now, sort of talking about some of my plants and their journey in my care. And I definitely have a ton of photos of my plants in my camera roll. So I went through and I found 12. I believe I have 12 plants to share with you today, and just receiving them, they're little tiny, just their little tiny selves when I first got them and where they are now. So I'm excited to share these with you. I hope you will stick around until the end of the video. And without further ado, let's get into it. I will be starting out today with my Monstera albo. I thought it would be suiting to start with this plant because it was officially the first expensive rare plant that I got, and I will be popping photos up over here so you can kind of see what this plant looked like when I first got it. It was a beautiful cutting, big beautiful leaves. Definitely spendy for me. This is the most I've ever spent on a plant, and it's the most I will ever spend on a plant. So I paid $150 for this plant, and I got her in June of last year, well, June of 2023. I just remember being so excited. I remember seeing this plant on the internet and not even knowing that something like this even existed. And from that moment, I was set to find one. And I actually went to Blue Moon Tropicals. I talk about them all the time. It's a local grower to me. They also sell online, but they do these open houses sort of quarterly. And she had some, and I remember looking at it and thinking, just sweating, man, that's a lot of money to spend on a plant. And I did it. I ended up buying it. I brought it home, and I was so enamored. I was so enamored. I'm still enamored by her. But it was just such a lovely experience. It's something that I definitely will never forget. It's a core memory for me. And so, yeah. It had 3 leaves to start with, and in hindsight, looking back, I remember bringing it home and I remember waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. And I didn't really know a lot at the time about plants. I was really just getting into it, and I thought, I wonder if something's wrong with it. I wonder if there's something going on with the roots. So I do remember repotting it maybe a month after getting it because I hadn't seen any new growth. And I believe the cutting was a fresh cut. I do believe that it was rooted, but I kind of feel like it was establishing itself in the pot, and that is why it was taking so long. I also find this plant, now that I've had it for well over a year now, I do find this to be slower to grow than my regular albo, and I have taken cuttings from it. So it ended up growing. It grew probably 5 or 6 leaves or so, and I propagated it because I felt like the vine was just looking a little too leggy, and I really wanted a bushy, beautiful plant in a pot. So I propagated. I did sell 1 or 2 of the cuttings, and the rest of them I potted back into a pot, and this is what she looks like now. I recently showed her in a repot, maybe 2 videos back now. I think it was my most recent repot in chat. And so yeah, this is what she looks like now. Definitely the leaves are smaller than they were when I first got it. But that's to be expected because that's just kind of what happens when you propagate a nice big leaf. chances are you're not going to get, the first leaf is not going to be as big. So yeah, I'm really pleased with where we are. I said in my most recent repot, I don't really feature her on the channel, and I think in that video it was the first time I had ever shown her. Just because, as I said, it seems to take her a little while to get going, but she is loving this fishbowl. So in that repot, I took her from the pot that I had her in and I put her in this fishbowl. And you can see that she's got some really beautiful roots going on. They are nice and fuzzy in there, and I like that I can see what's happening. I remember stating in that video that the reason I chose the fishbowl is because anytime I put something in the fishbowl, it always seems to do really well. So yeah, I'm actually preferring the way that she's looking now than before. I have, I believe, 2 different stems in here. And so that's just kind of creating the illusion of a fuller plant, which is what I wanted. The only thing that I will say is she is putting out some all green leaves. There's what, 2 here, 3, and then it seems like this side is a little bit more like half moon variegation. I will say the variegation seems to be pretty stable in that regard, at least on this side, and yeah, I'm happy with that. I kind of like the green mixed with the white and it not being fully every leaf having white, because as we know, the white does brown off. And so I think in the long run, this will make for a really beautiful, well-balanced plant. And yeah, so I'm really happy with where we're going here. I know that this could definitely do better on a pole. If you've been around, you know how I feel about poles, and I'm not really huge on maintaining them. So what I plan to do with this, once she really fills out the fishbowl, we just put her in here. I don't even think she's been in here for 3 weeks yet. But once we fill out this fishbowl, I'll put her in a really nice pot, and I'll probably just put her on a cocoa pole. That's how my Monstera is outside, and she does totally fine on the cocoa pole. It's easier for me to maintain. It doesn't take up as much space. And yeah, I plan on putting her in a nice pot, something that pleases the eye, and probably something clear. That way I can keep an eye on the roots, but a nice cashpo. And then yeah, I'll just put her on a cocoa pole. I do plan on keeping her in the house as long as I can keep her in the house. She does seem to prefer the cabinet life, so it just keeps the leaves, or the white on the leaves, longer. But I know that she would probably do better outside, but I really love looking at her. I really love looking at her. I do have space in the pergola that I could make for her, and I'm sure she would thrive out there, but as I said, I just really enjoy looking at her. The leaves are starting to get a little bit of bleaching just due to the light, but look at these aerial roots. I mean, they're popping out everywhere. So I know that she is definitely benefiting from the humidity. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. As much as I would love her to be inside, I know she would probably be happier outside. So once the weather gets better around here, I do plan on putting some of my larger Anthuriums out in the pergola. I do plan on creating kind of like a little tropical oasis outside, and who knows, she may wind up out there. But for now, she lives in my Millsbow Tall, and I'm just really enjoying her for the time being. And so yeah, that is her. That is her. She's beautiful. I do recommend getting one. I know they're still a little pricey, nothing like they were when I got her. I want to say they average around here at least about $45 a cutting or so. So you can definitely get one going, and it doesn't take long. I mean, it doesn't take long for them to get started. I have her in just my chunky soil mix, which is essentially ProMix. I use ProMix soil, and the reason I like the ProMix soil is because it's just a nice airy soil as is, but they also add quite a bit of perlite, and then I do add some of my homemade semi-hydro or pon to all of my soil mixtures, and that's pretty much all I do for amendments. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with her. I've thought about propagating again and just keeping a little cutting around, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this side. If this next leaf is all green, I will cut again, which it does appear that it's going to be all green. So I may just take a cutting right here and sort of see where that takes us. But yes, that is her. So for the next one, we're gonna have to take a little bit of a field trip because she is too big now for me to move, but it's basically my Florida beauty. And so I'm gonna put a photo up. This is what it looked like when I first got her. There is a story behind Florida Beauty for me. I remember wanting this plant for such a long time, and I got my very first one. John actually bought it for me from Ecuagenera. We went out and we picked one out, and it pretty much reverted on me like immediately. So it was kind of sad. They were still pretty pricey at the time, and I just remember being so disappointed. And then several months later, we saw some at Blue Moon, and he ended up getting me a second one from Blue Moon Tropicals. And by that time, they had come down in price a little bit. I believe it was a 3-leaf cutting when I first got it. And let me just say, this plant has been such a joy to grow. I love the Florida series, the Florida Green, the Florida Beauty, and the Florida Ghost. I have all 3, and every single one of them has been a joy to grow. They're very, very forgiving. They don't require a lot from you, just simple support, and they're happy. I show my Florida Beauty on here all the time because it is a treasured plant, and I know that they're not as hyped as they were, but I still think it's one of the most beautiful philodendrons, and yeah, it just brings me joy daily. So it was a shame. It was a shame to have to buy 2 in order to get where I am, but I have propagated this several times. I've experimented with it. The one that I have now, I haven't propagated so much with, but I experimented a ton with the original one, just trying to get the variegation to come back. And I believe one of the leaves did. I believe one of the props did, and the rest of them didn't. And I've since parted ways with all of them. I just sold them as Florida Greens and just kind of told the buyer, you may not get variegation. I don't know, but I sold them for, I don't know, I think like $10 a cutting or something like that. It was $5-10 a cutting. It was very reasonable. And yeah, I love the shape of the leaf. I think they're absolutely beautiful. And so yeah, let's go check her out now. Okay, so here she is now. As you can see, she has reached the top of, or she's reached the curtain rod. She's about to put out a new leaf. Her leaves are a little smaller because she's not getting the same amount of light. I'm okay with that. My goal is to have it sort of just continue growing as much as I can have it grow. Because these have a tendency to revert, I am a little bit afraid to chop it. We'll see where we're going here, or where we go, but yeah, I mean, every single leaf is beautiful. Every single one looks like a painting. So it basically starts down here. And to be honest with you guys, I don't even think that she's shed any of her original leaves. I think I still have the originals. I'm not 100%, but I don't remember anything browning or yellowing. She's even got one tucked back here. And I just love that each one presents differently. And she's even, at this point, put off a secondary vine, as you can see, about to put out a leaf. This was the first leaf from that. And it's just gorgeous. So this is why I don't want to cut it, because she just loves this spot and she's doing so well. But she's taller than I am now, and this is starting to look a little sparse. I don't love that sort of leggy effect. She also produces a ton of EFN. That is something with the Florida series that you're gonna find, is they put out a ton of EFN, which attracts these little black ants. I don't mind them. I just let them live, honestly. They do their thing, whatever. It doesn't bother me. It's the only plant in my house that seems to have the ants. So yeah, I just think she's stunning. And I plan to keep her right here, as I said, and just let her do her thing, let her grow. Just kind of back up a little bit for you so you can kind of see. I do have her on a little riser, just like a little plant stand, but she's definitely massive. And they grow very, very easily. It's not one that you're gonna have to cater to. And I really highly recommend this plant. I think they're so, so cool. Even the green, even just the simple green. Beautiful. This might be my favorite leaf. Look at that. Gorgeous. Okay, you guys, next up is going to be my red Rhipsalis. So I got this one in October of 23, in the same time that I got my Florida Beauty. So I got my Florida Beauty in October of 23 as well. I don't think I mentioned that, but I wanted to make sure I did because I think it's interesting to see how these plants grow in a certain time frame. So I've tried really hard to make sure to document them as they come in and to put the date on their tag when I get them. But yeah, red Rhipsalis. So when I purchased my Rhipsalis, both this one and the other one that I'm going to show you, you know that I can't do a video without showing my Rhipsalis. I just love them so much. I really didn't think at the time that they were going to be so important to me or so special to me. So this one came in, I think I bought this as just kind of like oh, that's kind of interesting. It's cheap enough. I think it was like $8 maybe. I'll just pick it up. It's you know, it's not going to be one that's hard to care for, and man, I'm so glad I did because these bring me so much joy. I also remember seeing their mother plant. I got this from EFG Orchids, and I remember these paddles. This will get massive. The one that they have is absolutely massive, and it gets the most beautiful red like tips to it. Mine isn't really showing that as much, and I'm thinking it's just not getting enough light per se. Although it lives in the main window of the house over here behind the couch, I think it takes probably quite a bit of light for them to sun stress. I'm not really sure why mine's not showing like as much red. Maybe perhaps it's younger, I don't know. But what I do know is I absolutely adore this plant. I just think it is so beautiful. I show this one to you guys a lot. So if you've been around, you're probably sick of seeing it, but it is so special to me. And then this pot that I have it in is something that John picked up for me. He really likes this style of pottery, this really colorful sort of terracotta. Personally, I like things to be a little bit more on the neutral side, but I love when he picks me out a pot because it just adds a different level of sentiment, and so I put one of my most special plants in there. This is just in my soil mixture, guys. Most of my plants are either in my homemade semi-hydro or in my soil mixture. And it's one that you can let dry out a little bit. It's definitely easy. Like you could literally place this probably anywhere in your house and water it when you water it, and it would be happy. I also love the little hairs. I love these little hairs. And I love the way that it grows in the sense of like it'll put out this little like arm, which will essentially become a paddle, sort of the way that this looks. And I love that we have some larger ones, some smaller ones, the way that it kind of will start to grow out of the top of the pot. I think this would look really cute in one of those like smiley face planters or whatever, just as like hair. But yes, I have very much loved on this plant. It lives in the living room for a reason, and that's because I just enjoy watching it grow. It's always doing something as well. All of my Rhipsalis, they're always growing. Always. Like they always are putting out some kind of growth. They never seem to go in any sort of dormancy phase. This one grows the slowest of all of them for whatever reason. Two of them are living in the exact same conditions. So to me, that just says this is a slower growing plant. They get watered at the same time. Everything is the same. So yeah, I love it so much, and I highly recommend it. I think it's just a winner. It's just a winner. I know it's kind of a basic looking plant, but it's an easy one. It's an easy one that has a lot of character, and it trails. So what's not to love? I can't wait to see where this goes. I can't wait to see how big these paddles become. And yeah, it's also really kind of common. Like, this is something that you can pretty much find anywhere. So yeah, it's easily obtainable. You guys will have to let me know down below if you like this video. I think I was thinking of making it into a series just because I have so many photos and so many plants that I could share with you in this sort of style. But yeah, so the next one I have is one that has quite a bit of a story, actually. So I've talked about it several times on the channel, mainly because of its story, but I purchased it from Madison from Plant Therapy, or she has a channel also called Plant Therapy. And I believe it was her first time breeding Anthuriums. And so this is the first plant that she ever bred. And I just am enamored by her. I think she does a great job here on YouTube. So I decided to buy one from her. And at the time, she was living in Washington State. So that is entirely across the country from me. And I purchased this plant back on 10/16 of 23. So not really the best time to ship plants. I've since learned to not ship plants in the winter. I kind of stop. Usually for me, I stop in October, and it kind of depends on where the seller is located. Here in Florida, we don't really get cold until about January, maybe late December. But anyways, I ended up receiving the plant, and it had been totally rattled out of the pot. I literally had a hard time finding it in the box because the post had just banged this box all over the place. So by the time I found it and pulled it out, the photo that I'm showing you is me finding it. The roots look like they had dry rot. Honestly, I really didn't think this was going to make it. And at the time, I really didn't have a ton of experience with Anthuriums. This was one of the first Anthuriums that I got. So I remember just putting it in a little tiny prop vessel of water, and I just let it sit in there for a few days to rehydrate. And then I think I ended up putting it straight into moss. I put it into moss in a little cloche environment, and here we are today, a full plant. So very exciting. Sam's gonna stop by and say hi because he's nosy. You're so nosy. Give me a kiss. Have a little kiss. Have a little kiss. You're gonna say hi? You're gonna sit? You know the rules. We have to sit. You have to sit. Yeah, you have to sit. Very, very handsome. Can I get a kiss? Thank you. Hi, Jimmo. So here we are, full-size plant, super exciting to be here. It took a long time to get here. This is the most recent leaf. I think I featured this on my 2024 favorites. I believe I did. I think the story behind this plant for me is really what gets me. It's very sentimental to me, the fact that it came in such dire straits and I was able to rehab it. And even through the course of rehab, I still was unsure because it just took a long time, you guys. It took a long time for this to come back. And yeah, so for it to be a full little plant now is just very rewarding. And also, I find it to be inspiring, the way that plants will do anything in their power to continue on. And I think that's really what could be said about this one. She's very resilient, we'll say that. So yeah, we just have her in this little pot. It doesn't have drainage holes, which is not my preferred way. Once they reach this sort of stage where the leaves are around this size, I prefer to put them in pots that do have drainage holes with a cashpo. It's just what I had available at the time. And I'm thinking she's probably due for a repot, if I'm being honest. Just based off of, I can tell usually by when they put out a leaf, if they don't size up, usually that's an indicator that it's time for a repot. So yeah, it's something that I plan on doing soon. It's also starting to kind of yellow in some places. This is probably just from touching the edge of my Vitstro shelf. So I'm not really concerned about that, even though that is unfortunate. It is about to push out another leaf as well as an inflow, which will be its first inflow, which is very exciting. And I just have it topped with some moss. Yeah, I think she could probably stand to get a little bit more light than what she's getting now. But I also absolutely think she's beautiful. I think that this veination is stunning. I can definitely see the silver blush in it for sure, as well as the forgetii. I do love that, like, this leaf came out with a fused sinus. This one came out with a semi-fused sinus, so it's kind of like you never know what you're going to get. And I also love the shade of green. It's not a super dark green, but it's not as light as, say, some of my others. It's just sort of like that in between. And also, this one shows this beautiful texture on the leaves. It's definitely got some texture. If you look at the back, you may be able to see that a little bit better. But it's just been a joy. It's been a learning experience. This plant has taught me a lot. It's taught me that these Anthuriums are much hardier than we give them credit for. And yeah, it's been inspiring. So whenever I'm having like a hard day, I can look at this plant and be like, well, at least I wasn't shipped across the country, rattled out of my pot, and left for toast. So yeah. She's beautiful, happy to have her, and I think one day she'll make a really beautiful parent plant, so that's kind of what I'm hoping for. She has even put out this little offset here, which I could definitely separate, I'm sure. This is a little offset, but it's just been kind of fun to just watch her grow. I can see some spider mite damage, so I probably need to treat her. Spider mites are the bane of my existence, you guys. I'm always battling them, but I'll take them over any of the other pesties, honestly. So yeah, that's her. This is Silver Blush crossed with Forgetii White Stripes. Okay, the next one I have is my Rad Lux, and this one has been amazing, you guys. This has been such an easy Anthurium to grow. I love the way the leaves emerge, and in fact, I have one to show you today because she's putting out a new leaf. But when I got her, which was back in October of 23, she was just a 2-leaf little baby cutting. I think I saw her on the bench and was like, oh my goodness, like, incredible. What a beautiful plant. I love the texture of this plant. It's very different from most of my other Anthuriums outside of my Lux. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to share her with you. She has grown a ton. I'm just gonna grab her. She's kind of out of the frame a little bit, and my, oh my, has this sized up, you guys. Look at the size of this plant. It has grown immensely in the last year and a few months that I've had it. I have potted this up probably 3 times since getting it, and each time it puts out a leaf, it's always such a pleasure. So the new one that she's putting out is here, right? She's still kind of wrapped up, but that beautiful red, you guys know if you've been around, I have a thing for like red mixed in with the green of plants. I think it's so beautiful. And I don't know how this happened, but in addition to my Anthurium here, I have a couple different kinds of alocasia growing. And if you've been around, you also know that while I love alocasia, they don't seem to love me. And it's just shocking that I don't know where they came from, these corms. I have no idea how this happened, but I'm happy about it. So it appears as though I have Alocasia aslanii and Alocasia silver dragon growing in here. And yeah, I literally leave them alone. I do not mess with them. When I repot this, they go right with it, like into the new pot. They kind of just stick together. It seems to be like a symbiotic relationship that they have, and I'm good with it. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on in the pot. I know it's like, what what are those other little guys in there? So cute. So cute. I love Alocasia aslanii, and at one point I did have a beautiful one. And as most alocasias do in my care, they just kind of go downhill. And it did. It went downhill and I lost it, or so I thought. So anyway, I have no idea how the corms wound up with this guy, but like I said, I'm not mad about it. And yeah, they're coming from two different spots. This is the aslanii and this is the silver dragon. Like, they're definitely in two different spots. But yeah, I love the texture of this plant. Absolutely striking. It's just beautiful. I also love that this one stays a little bit more compact, and the flowers on a Radlux are so beautiful, you guys. Like, so, so beautiful. They last forever too. I recently cut one off. It looks like I have one coming. I definitely have one coming in, and it's coming from this leaf here. But yeah, I think that flower lasted for probably at least a month, and it is so striking. The next time I get one, when this one comes to fruition, I will take a photo of it and definitely post it for you, because so, so beautiful. And so yeah, I'm really excited to see where this leaf takes us. I'm curious to see if it will expand larger than the prior leaf. I'm thinking this is probably ready for a repot. I have had it in this pot for a little while now, but you guys, I mean, this is a pretty sizable pot, you know, like, it's one that will probably wind up outside in the pergola this spring. I have a whole idea in mind about what I want to do out there, what plants I want to move out there. And yeah, if you don't have this one, they're really easy to come by. They're not expensive. I think I paid $15 for this one, for the 2-leaf cutting that I got. And it's been totally worth it. I would have paid double, honestly. It is so much fun. I could look at these leaves all day. And actually, this one grows in lower light, considering. It grows, in terms of the Planty corner, it's growing in a lower light spot than the rest of them. So it's one that can definitely take lower lighting and be totally happy with that. Yeah, she's in my soil mixture. This pot doesn't have drainage. Again, it's not my preferred. It's just the pot that I had available at the time. When this is ready for its repot, which will probably be when this leaf fully unfurls, I will definitely get it into some drainage holes, probably this spring. It'll probably happen this spring. But yeah, I think she's absolutely beautiful. I think they're totally worth it. They're a lot of fun. It's an easy Anthurium. It's definitely beginner friendly. And so yeah, I believe too, she's held on to most of her leaves. In fact, these may be the 2 original leaves down here, because I don't recall cutting any of them off. So it wouldn't surprise me if these 2 are the original leaves. So you can kind of see the size up. I've heard that these get absolutely massive. And so yeah, I think putting it outside will be an opportunity for this to kind of reach its maximum potential, and I would love to see that. My next one, again, will have to go on a little bit of a field trip, not far. I'll be showing you my Anthurium vittarifolium, because this plant has been one of my most treasured. It was my first strappy leaf, or long boy, that I got into my collection, and I just remember seeing this plant. I can't remember where I saw it for the first time, but I remember seeing it and just being like, oh my gosh, I have to have that plant. And I ended up acquiring it from Blue Moon, and I will say it was a decently sized plant when I brought it home, as you can see from the photo. And that was my original setup. I think I only had my Millsbow wide at the time and my Barina cabinet, which my Barina cabinet went when my Millsbow tall came in. My Millsbow wide I found off of Marketplace and sort of just adjusted. I believe it was a plant cabinet before I got it, but it had like these horrible lights, horrible quality lights that they like super glued to the glass shelving. So I did have to kind of revamp this cabinet. And yeah, I just had that little like ladder situation, ladder shelf thing that you see in the photograph, and it lived on top of that for a long time. And then I ended up sort of redoing the entire living room. I acquired my Mills Botal and my Blalladin cabinet. And once I acquired the Blalladin cabinet, I ended up putting it on top of there. And since then, it's lived in this corner, at least for the last, I would say, year it's been in this corner. And yeah, it's just been absolutely amazing. I got it in October of 23, and I'm about to show her to you because I think I've shown her several times on the channel, but she's always doing something. Like, I feel like I could show her to you guys every single month and there would be something new to show you. It also flowers like crazy. Vittarifolium is one of my most favorite Anthuriums. I now have 3 of them in my collection. One of them I got from the Green Escape by accident. And because I love the plant so much, it's hard for me to like part ways with it, although I know I need to because there's just only so much space. And then I have my variegated one. So yeah, let's show you. Okay, you guys, this is her in all of her glory. I'm gonna kind of pan out just so you can kind of see how long the leaves are. It is massive, but though it is massive, it's still pretty confined and compact to this area, which I love about this plant. It also hangs on to its leaves. I don't think, I have definitely cut a few of the original leaves off, maybe 2 to 3, but I still have quite a few of the original leaves, which is really, really cool. It stays nice and full, and the leaves, when they expand, it's really something to watch, you guys. Like, it's pretty amazing. She has a new leaf coming right here. And then she has a new flower. And then this flower, I tried pollinating. So I tried to pollinate one of my Anthurium hybrids with this, and I don't think obviously it didn't work out for whatever reason. Maybe the 2 of them are not compatible for breeding. I will definitely try something else with this, perhaps my Philodendron. I'll see. I need to research what can be bred with vittarifolium, but it's always putting out flowers. And if I just kind of move this guy out of the way, you could probably get a better idea. So I have had to stake it because that stem is pretty heavy at this point. It could probably stand for a repot, but something I've noticed with vittarifolium roots is they don't seem to be as thick and chunky as some of my other Anthuriums. And then its most recent leaf is this one here. And it literally goes all the way down, 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 down. Like, it's kind of hard to get this entire plant in the frame. The one downside of it being here is it does sort of hide everything that's in this cabinet, but I don't care, you guys. Like, I love this plant. It's one that, like, if something were to happen and I could only keep 3 plants, like, this is one of them that I would keep. It's so forgiving. It's been such a joy to grow. It's not one that I have to repot a ton, which is great. And yeah, it's just easy going. And I just love watching these leaves go from this teeny tiny, look at this teeny tiny little thing. Like, look how small that is. How does it go from that tiny little thing to these huge, massive, strappy leaves? It's quite impressive. And as I said, it's something to really view. Sometimes the leaves come in a little wonky, like this one is starting to yellow a little bit. Sometimes they come out a little weird. This one is actually one of the original leaves. You can tell by how small it is. Same thing with this one here. And as I said, they are starting to yellow, some of them, and I do need to get in there and kind of trim it up a little bit. but nonetheless, what's going on here? Oh, just some dust. It could stand for a dusting for sure. Nonetheless, it's just been an amazing, amazing time growing this. And I could talk about it all day, really. I could definitely propagate it. It does have some amazing aerial roots, little chunky, stubby aerial roots. But I don't know, I just continue to let it grow because I just love it. I just want to see how big and massive this can get. And I'm not really sure what to do at this point with the stem. You know, once it gets to a certain place, I may have to propagate it, but I'm hoping that I don't. I'm hoping that that'll be enough support for a while. It's not the greatest looking support system, but it does the job. And yeah, it's enabled me to continue growing it. I highly recommend this. If you guys don't have one, really, truly, it's worth it. And I feel like they are easily available. Like, it's not one that's really hard to obtain, at least not anymore. Okay, so next is my SKG Crystal Silver crossed with Bessier Af. This is one that I found off of the Plants and Pamperin website. They actually did a purge in Plant Purge USA, and that's how I found them originally. So it was the pink sinus of this plant that really got me, and it was just a tiny little baby, as you can see, so small. This is one that I've had to absolutely rehab from scratch and start over, mainly because I did a little bit of experimentation with my semi-hydro, and it didn't seem to love it. So it declined pretty rapidly, and I ended up having to rehab this entirely in moss. So anytime I'm rehabbing an Anthurium, I pretty much just put it straight into moss, and I usually, this one in particular, I had a big enough cloche where I was able to just put some moss in the bottom of the cloche, and I think I had 3 Anthuriums in there actually that were rehabbing at the same time, and with the glass lid. Sometimes I'll just put a singular cloche over it. You can also use a Ziploc bag if you don't have a cloche. There's so many ways to cloche a plant. Basically, it just requires 100% humidity. In my experience, by doing that with the roots or lack of roots in moss, usually it comes back. And so this one, it took a while. It took a while for this to rehab. It just didn't seem to acclimate well, and I probably repotted it too soon. And then of course I switched it from soil to semi-hydro. I mean, it went through a lot of changes. At this time, I was still experimenting with Anthuriums, and I got this back in October of 23. So you can see a kind of a trend here. We're starting out in June, and from June of 23 until now, it's just been like bye, plants. And so that was something that I stated in my recent video. Just some of my goals for this coming year is to curate my collection and just kind of appreciate what I have. I will be buying plants, but I'm going to try to stick to my wish list plants as much as possible. And unless I come across something out in the wild that I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, that would be on my wish list. Like, it's one that I really like. I'm really second guessing my plant purchases these days. That's a whole side tangent. Anyways, going back to this one, to have it be where it's at now is just, it's just incredible. It's really incredible to me. And so here she is. Here she is. This is her most recent leaf. She is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. The emergents on this are such a joy. They come out sort of like a coral color, and they stay that way for a while before turning to this green. It does have that cute little pink sinus to this day, and I love that. Something very interesting is the sinus being fused. On this larger leaf, it's fused, and then on the leaf prior to that, it's not fused. So really interesting how these Anthuriums do that. I don't know why that is, but I love the venation on this plant. I love the pink sinus. I quite adore this extra like crystallization. I mean, this one really, really shimmers. in the light. It really, really does. It is also very, very velvety. I'm definitely realizing this is ready for a repot. It's starting to kind of crisp on the edges here. It's starting to get a bit of yellowing. And when I look at the underside of the pot, there is a root that is trying to peek through. So that tells me it's ready for a repot. I talk about this a lot with my Anthuriums. Whenever I see the root peep through the bottom of the pot, it's time for a repot. I never second guess it. I just give it a bigger pot, and it always works out in my favor. What typically happens is the growth will slow down for a little bit. It may not put out a leaf for a month or so, but it's sort of acclimating itself to that new pot. It's spreading those roots out, and then from that point on, it's off to the races. I'll have a leaf, leaf, leaf after leaf until, again, it's ready for a repot. Anthuriums tend to like a moist environment. They do not like to dry out entirely, and that's another way that I know my Anthuriums need to be repotted, is just by how quickly they dry out. If it's drying out quicker than that week time frame, I know it's time. So in addition to this beautiful leaf we have here, it's also put out an offset over here, a little babe, so you can kind of see. I think it's actually got two offsets. So I could definitely split this up if I wanted, and I may do that. We'll see. I haven't experimented a ton with chopping up my Anthuriums, mainly because I do want to breed with them. So that's just something that I've been thinking about. And in addition to that, we have a new leaf coming right here, which is exciting, as well as it looks to be its first flower that's going to come from this leaf. So there's a lot going on here. There's some really beautiful aerial roots. Let me kind of move this tag out of the way. I don't know if you guys can see that. Some nice chunky aerial roots. That's another thing. At this stage of the game, I cannot cover these roots with moss because the pot is too shallow, and so it needs to be set into a deeper pot so I can get those roots covered. I find that keeping those aerial roots covered at all times also will benefit your Anthuriums a ton, and they will grow like crazy and upsize like crazy. So yeah, it also ensures that the plant is receiving enough moisture by making sure that all of the roots are covered. But yeah, I think it's quite fascinating to see something go from such a small little thing to, I mean, when I got it, you can tell from that photo, it was just a tiny little plantlet. And for it to go from that to pretty much just the chunk to this is quite a story. It's quite a journey, and it's very inspiring. And I know it's stressful. It can be very stressful to see our plants decline and to have to go through the whole rehabilitation process, but it's also very inspiring because these guys just want to live. They just want to live. And if you do your best to give them what they need, they will fight to survive. And I just think that that is such a beautiful message. So yeah, really, really cool. So this is SKG Crystal Silver crossed with Bessie AF. Okay, next is my Anthurium Jungle Giant. So this one is another one I found from Plants and Pamperin. And you guys, I had no idea how big this Anthurium gets. I just thought it was really pretty. The price was right. And I was like, sure, it doesn't have a ton of like crystal-y venation on it. It's a little different than the ones that I have. I got this back in October of 23. And yeah, just a tiny little babe. It was a larger seedling than I had been used to. It was the largest of the seedlings that I had purchased, but now it is a massive plant. So here she is in all her glory. I'm gonna pop her in to the frame. And as you can see, these leaves are bigger than my head, you guys. Like, they are huge. They are huge. This is she due for a repot? It doesn't look like she's ready for a repot just yet, but she's definitely, I'm noticing that she's not loving the heat. So we've been running our central heat, obviously, for winter, and she's definitely giving some crispiness, which this one, is such an easy grower. I have had no issues growing this plant. It's not one that I ever had to rehab. It pretty much just acclimated immediately and has been just a breeze to grow. So this is, I want to say this is the largest of all of its leaves. I have trimmed a few of its leaves off because just for space sake, but it's not really one to drop leaves either. This is its most recent leaf here. I think it's pretty well hardened off. It's maybe, yeah, it's pretty much hardened off. There is a bit of spider mite damage. I can kind of see them, so she's definitely going to get sprayed down before I put her back. But yeah, she's beautiful. I mean, look at these leaves. This is one that I do plan on putting outside in the pergola. I think it would definitely do really well out there. And yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see how large this baby will get in an environment with the humidity that we get in the Florida summer. So like I said, it's been a joy to grow. We have an inflow coming. Perhaps I will try breeding with it here soon. I have, I think, 3 or 4 flowers right now, and they're all pretty much at the same stage. So I'm just kind of waiting for them to get to the place that I need to get them in order to use the pollen, use the nectar, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I know that there's not a ton of, you know, crystally veination, but I think that's really something beautiful. And I do love the shape of these leaves. I'm hoping you guys can see that. I'm hoping that's in the frame. Watch it not have been in the frame. It's so large, it's kind of hard to show. But I do love the shape of these leaves. I love this lobe. Yeah, it's just a striking Anthurium, and it's a really easy one. I feel like these are pretty easy to come by. I don't feel like it's, you know, anything super duper special or rare in that regard, but an easy one, a gratifying one, and yeah, it's given me absolutely no trouble. I also like that it stays a little bit more on the compact side. The petiole to leaf ratio is nice, and yeah, I've just really enjoyed growing it. I think it's pretty magical. Okay, so this next one is a mouthful. I'm looking down because I have some notes here. So it's Selby Silver cross Dock Block Michelle cross Forgetii, and this is another one that I got from Plants and Pamperin, and I purchased this in November of 23. This is one that I did have to rehab. I believe it rehabbed in the same cloche right along with my Forgetii White Stripes cross that I showed you earlier from Madison. And what really got me was the shape of this leaf. At the time, I didn't have any Forgetii in my collection, and I really didn't have any Anthuriums that lacked the crystally veination. So this one was kind of different at the time, and I just really thought it was a cutie. This picture shows such a beautiful little plantlet, and it's a shame that it ended up going downhill like it did. But we were able to bring it back, and today this is what she looks like. So this is her most recent, well, she has one coming now, but this is her most recent leaf. And I quite love the veination on this plant. It's really, really striking. I like the shape of the leaf. It's very Forgetii. I actually feel like this is even rounder than my actual Forgetii. So that's kind of interesting. I definitely need to get it into a different pot. This is one that has no drainage, and something that I've learned with Anthuriums is they don't really like this sort of, I'm not going to say this is terracotta. I don't think this is terracotta. I'm not really sure what this is made out of, this material of this pot. But anytime I put an Anthurium in this like designer style pot, they don't tend to do well. They do this whole crispy thing. And I'm thinking that's because the pot sort of sucks out a lot of the moisture. I'm also thinking that this is probably a bit root bound in here. That's usually what tends to happen when they get root bound. And I'm kind of seeing it on all of the leaves, this sort of crispiness. So definitely something that I'll have to address pretty soon. It is about to give me an inflow here, which will be its first inflow, so that's pretty exciting. And then this is its newest leaf, which is really, really pretty. It's kind of like, let's see here. It's still pretty soft, so it's definitely got some expanding to do. I do see some spider mite damage. It looks like I'm gonna have to treat all of my Anthuriums with my little special sauce. It's basically this here. I've shown it before. I actually showed this in my recent repot, but it's pretty much just peppermint and tea tree castile soap and alcohol and water. And it does a really good job keeping spider mites down. It's just that time of year. We're running the central heat, and the spider mites love central heat. They like that sort of dry environment. I had the same problem last year in the winter. Over the summer, I was able to keep it at bay for the most part, and then here we are again. So I'm definitely going to spray this leaf down, and it seems to only happen on new leaves. That's another thing with Anthuriums and spider mites. I usually only see damage on the new leaves, so it's not like you'll have an older leaf that's going to get attacked by the spider mites. I think it's because the leaf gets pretty hard. But they really do love a fresh Anthurium leaf. I think it's just because it's so delicate and easy for them to munch. But yeah, I quite love the color of this emergent leaf. I think it's really beautiful. It's kind of got that sort of coral shift to green, and it's pretty magical when you turn it in the light, just kind of watching that. It also has a little bit of like a grayish tint to it. So anyway, I like the venation on this one. I think it is so cute. It looks like a little turtle shell. It's just really charming. Yeah, there's not a ton to say about this one. It kind of is just its own little thing, but quite interesting. I feel like this should have definitely, I feel like this should be bigger than what it is in the amount of time that I have had it, especially when you look at, say, my jungle giant that I just showed you and how massive that's gotten, and even some of my others. But again, I had to fully rehab this from scratch. So, and I do think had I chosen a better pot for it, it probably would be in a better place. Anthuriums tend to do better in drainage, at least in my world. They just seem to prefer to have drainage holes. I don't know why, it's just, it is what it is. But yeah, I'll have to address that soon, right along with my my Forgetii white stripes. They live next to each other on the shelf, and yeah, something so cute about that leaf though, you guys. Look how cute she is. Okay, so this next one is another one that I got from Plants and Pamperin. I got this one in November of 23, and this is one that I was super excited to get my hands on because I had really been wanting a Dock Block Michelle, and so I saw that they had some self Dock Block Michelle, and I picked one up. It was a pretty reasonable price. I think I paid $25 or $35 for like a little seedling, which you can see the photo. It was a really nice, it wasn't even a seedling, it was a plantlet pretty much at that point. And yeah, I brought it home. I thought, okay, this is going to be great. I have a Dock Block Michelle. And I'm not really sure what has happened, but over time, I'm noticing some very interesting characteristics in this plant that makes me think that it's got some Forgetii in it and is not just Dock Block Michelle. Little disappointing. It actually doesn't look anything like Dock Block Michelle, so I'm not really sure what I have, to be honest with you. But this is a then and a now, so you're seeing what it looked like before, and here she is now. So it's in this massive pot, which is great because I won't have to repot this for a while. Another pot that I had lying around with no drainage holes, which we've already talked about, that's not my favorite. But it is what it is. This is the most recent leaf. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what happened here, but it tore at the top. But to show you, the sinuses are fused on this plant, which is really, really interesting. And there's also no red at all anywhere on this plant. The emergents do come out this really pretty sort of like purple color, but yeah, this is definitely not Dock Block Michelle. So I don't know. I don't know, you guys. I don't know what she is. She's cute, you know, she's cute, but like this leaf here, look at the sinus. Like, look at the sinus. It's totally fused. This looks very Forgittii, like white stripes to me. But she has popped out like crazy, and it's definitely grown a ton since the past year. So that's been fun to watch. It's been fun. This one's really given me no fuss. I don't recall having to rehab this one, which is nice. It definitely has another leaf on the way, and it gives me flowers. Gives me flowers like crazy. I also love that this one stays a bit more compact. It's sort of like the petiole to leaf ratio I really appreciate. Yeah, that's nice, you know. I'm not crazy about huge petioles. That's something about my regale that, while that Anthurium is very majestic, I do wish that the petioles were a little bit shorter. I wish it were a little bit more compact. It just is what it is. That's how the plant grows. But for me personally, I do like a smaller petiole. It says totally round petioles. There's no like ridges or anything like that, which I find interesting. And yeah. So that being said, I definitely have Doc Block Michelle on my wish list. That's why it was on my wish list, because I know that what I have here is not a Doc Block Michelle. You can even see like on this leaf how it pushes back like that, how the leaf kind of pushes back. That's definitely a Forgittii trait for sure. So I don't know. I have no idea what I have here. Okay, you guys, we have 2 left, and you already know my Rhipsalis is going to be in this. This is the first photo that I can recall taking of this Rhipsalis. I feel like I had it longer than this photo, but it's definitely the first one that I remember taking. And I think if I had the photo that I would have had may have been like a month earlier. I may have only had it for a month at this point. But as you can see, it's just a couple little sprigs, nothing really to write home about. And honestly, at the time, I didn't think that this is gonna be like such an impactful plant for me. I think I paid $8 total for this little pot. So it's in this little pot in this photo, it's 2 sprigs. It's 2 separate like plants that I kind of put into one pot. And yeah, I just brought it home. I just thought it was interesting. I really didn't think much of it at the time. And now, as we know, if you've been around, it is one of my most precious plants. I love this guy so much. It's pretty much at a place where I feel like it's due for a repot at this point in time, but I just love the way that it looks in this terracotta, and I love where I have it placed. I know that if I put it in a larger pot, I probably won't be able to keep it where it's been kept this entire time, which is in the window behind the couch. And so for those reasons, I'm a little bit like leery of repotting it, but it does dry out pretty quickly. So I know it's time. It's something that I'm gonna have to do. But in the time that I've had this plant, it has grown immensely. I've shown it a million times, I think, on this channel. I did end up getting this back in September of 2023. And here she is now. She is just absolutely beautiful. I know looking at it, it doesn't look like much. It just looks like, I don't know. To you, this may not look like anything, but to me, this is just absolutely beautiful. I think there's something so graceful and elegant about this plant. I love it in this patinaed terracotta pot. So it's gonna be sad when I have to find a new pairing for it. But I'll find the perfect pot and it will all work out. I just love terracotta that's patinaed. I think it is so beautiful. I watered this literally, I don't know, maybe 4 days ago, and it's almost bone dry. So I know, I mean, it does get a lot of light directly from that window, so that I'm sure adds to it. I'm also finding that things are drying out much quicker this time of year. They say that you should water less in the winter, and I don't find that to be true. I find that I need to water just as often as I do in the summer, maybe even more. And I think that just has to do with if you're running your central heat. But the way that this grows is just so cool. It's put out this like long arm with this like little tassel at the end. And yeah, some do that, some don't. It's just really interesting, you guys. It's really interesting. The new growth comes in this really pretty chartreuse color and kind of fades down to that deeper green. Some of them have little hairs, some of them don't, and it's also super easy to propagate. I have taken several cuttings from this, but then at a certain point I decided I didn't want to chop it anymore because I don't know, I kind of wanted to see just how full and lush I could get this guy. And yeah, I know if I pot it into a larger pot, it's going to it will take off even more. So it's definitely grown a ton and filled out a ton in the time that I've had it. And I just feel like this is something that's super rewarding. It's affordable, it's easy to find, and is something you can place pretty much anywhere throughout your house. Even if it doesn't get a ton of light, I still feel like this would do well. You can also tell when this needs to be watered because instead of it being cylindrical, it will sort of get these ridges and it looks like it needs a drink. You'll just know. So yeah, it's also one that doesn't require a ton of water. There's definitely been times that I've let this dry out where it has given me those ridges, and then I water it and it bounces right back. It's totally fine. So yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite plants in my collection. It's one that sort of like my vittarifolium, if I had to choose, you know, 3 plants, this is one that I would keep, which is kind of funny because again, it's just a Rhipsalis. I believe it also goes by mistletoe cactus, but it's just one of my favorites. I think it's really cool and I've really enjoyed growing it. All right, and then last but not least for this video is my black pagoda lipstick plant, which I actually got on a trade from a friend of mine, and I don't remember what I traded her for, or perhaps I paid her like 10 bucks, something like that. She just didn't seem to get along with it, and I thought it was absolutely striking, so I bought it from her, and this is what it looked like when I first acquired it. It was a pretty lush plant. I mean, it wasn't like a tiny little cutting or anything like that. But in the time that I've had it, it's grown a ton. It's pretty much just lived in the same pot. It's due for an up pot. I'll probably do that in the spring. Every time that I repot it, it definitely throws out new shoots. It's one that I do feel like goes through a bit of a dormancy period. I know like throughout the summer, it doesn't seem to do a whole lot. It will just kind of like stay as is. And then during the fall, winter is when I really start to see it grow. The spot that it lives in, it does get better light this time of year because the sun is lower in the horizon, so we definitely get more light through that window, so that could play a role in that. But anyways, this is her now, and she is absolutely beautiful. I love her so much. I love the purple on the backs, so it's got this really beautiful green and then purple back. This is one that's pretty easy to care for. I've had no issues growing it. Sorry about all the pitter patter. The dogs think it's like playtime anytime that I film. So that's just kind of par for the course when we film in the Planty quarter. Hey guys, hey, can we be quiet? Look at this. What do you have, Sam? You see what I mean? What is this, Sam? Is that your new Santa? Is that your new Santa? Can we be quiet just for a couple more minutes? Can you sit? How about I throw it? Let me throw it. Let me throw it. So, anyways, this is the time of year that I see growth from this plant, and she's also flowering. She gives the most interesting little flowers. Last year this bloomed for me like crazy. I don't know if this is just the start of its blooming season or if I'm just not going to get as much as I did last year. I'm not sure yet. All of this over here is new growth, which is really nice. And yeah, I just think this is such a fun plant. I do see these at like Lowe's and Home Depot pretty regularly, so I don't feel like this is one that's probably too hard to come by if you're interested. And yeah, it's just been a joyous plant to grow. I really love it. It definitely could use a dusting, I'm seeing, but it's got a ton of blooms coming, so maybe it's just early in the season. I can kind of see them here and there throughout. But anyways, you guys, that is her. Okay, you guys, that concludes for this video. Let me know if you guys like this, because it's definitely something that I could do again, maybe make it a little series. I could definitely get into my Hoyas. I have a bunch of photos of Hoyas. I have some of my other strappy Anthuriums that I could show you when they were small versus now. And yeah, I really enjoyed this video. So if you did, let me know down below. I wish you a wonderful week. Thanks for hanging out with me in the corner. And I will see you guys really soon. Don't forget to subscribe to stay notified anytime I upload. Bye, guys.